I have always been a massive fan of Spider-Man. Ever since I watched the animated series back in the early 2000s, I felt an attachment to the character. He truly is the most relatable, everyday superhero, and his appeal has been felt worldwide by people who easily connect with him. Add an amazing costume, spectacular villains, astonishing side characters, and ultimate storylines that stand the test of time, and it's easy to see why this character is Marvel's poster boy.
When I was a kid, I was Spider-Man obsessed. I watched all of the Sam Raimi movies, bought a plethora of toys, forced my parents to buy me comic books every week at my local Asda, and you guessed it, played a ton of Spider-Man video games. But there was always one that I kept coming back to time and time again, and that one was the PS1 game.
Spider-Man PS1, or Spider-Man 2000 as some people call it, is one of my favourite games of all time. Developed by original Tony Hawk developers Neversoft, this is a Spider-Man game to end all Spider-Man games. People always like to say that Spider-Man 2, the movie game, not the new one,
You're gonna have to fight.
or Web of Shadows, or the Insomniac games are the pinnacle of Spidey video games. And they just don't know how wrong they are. This game has everything you could ever want from a Spider-Man experience. It's got charm, humour, a kick-ass soundtrack, thrills and chills, twists and turns, more supervillains that you can shake a web at, and of course, non-stop web-slinging, wall-crawling action.
I would play this game for non-stop hours on end. Even when I didn't have a memory card, I would try and get through the entire thing in one sitting. I was that in love with it. In fact, hang on one second. Be right back. Yeah, I've still got the physical copy. It comes with the manual and everything, like, look. Manual and the disc. Like, I've had this for over 20 years.
Ever since starting this channel, I've wanted to talk about this game, and so in this video, we're going to go over it from start to finish. We'll be talking about the story, gameplay, characters, some interesting cut content, and explain why this is the best Spider-Man game ever made. And the first reason literally happens as soon as you boot up the game. But the treats don't stop there. We then get the godly main menu theme. After we get fired up with that tune, it's time to start the game. Right away we get a classic PS1 FMV setting up the game's story, aptly called The Exposition. You get introduced to a few key characters in the story such as Spider-Man, of course, Dr. Octopus, who is apparently reformed and no longer a villain, and Eddie Brock. Doc Ock is showing off some technology that he's made when Spider-Man suddenly appears on stage and steals Ock's device. Tom Hardy is also in the crowd snapping up some pictures of the event. In the commotion, he bumps into Peter Parker and has his camera broken by the fake Spider-Man.
My camera! No!
See you, chump.
With Brock's livelihood destroyed once again by Spider-Man, he gets visited by the ghost of J.K. Simmons.
Get the fuck out of my sight before I demolish you.
And transforms into the best character in the entire game, Venom.
Venom in this game can best be described as a goofy menace, which, to be fair, now I think about it, sums up his character perfectly.
He is constantly pushing Spider-Man and the player to their limits, and can appear when you're least expecting it.
You better stop!
But at the same time, he is just so damn funny and charming, with a lot of personality to boot. All of the game's best lines are from this guy, and was one of the main reasons why I was so excited to play this game again. It's funny how this blocky goofball is a lot more scary and memorable than Insomniac's big, muscly, bland piece of nothing. But we're getting off topic. Venom vows revenge on Spider-Man for hurting Brock, and then we get a glimpse of our main villains. Gee, I wonder who these absolutely not at all obvious silhouettes could belong to. I'm just so stumped. In an act of pure evil, they release a deadly fog onto New York. God, this game really was ahead of its time.
And now here's a section that I like to call Gamer-Pinion's Fun Development Fact Corner. It's a working title, we'll think of something better.
Due to the PS1's hardware limitations, the developers couldn't include the city streets. So, to counter this, they implemented the fog into the game to explain why Spider-Man forgets to swing as soon as he touches it. Overall, the intro nicely sets up a lot of key things that'll happen in the game later. It's a good setup and easy to understand. Good job, Neversoft. You get 9 web cartridges out of 10. We finally get to the gameplay, but first, a quick word from our Lord and Saviour.
Welcome, true believers and newcomers alike. Spider-Man co-creator Stan Lee here. Once again, we find our hero Peter Parker, better known around the world as the Amazing Spider-Man, in a heap of trouble. But this is just the beginning, Spidey fans. So get ready for a true superhero action thriller, packed to the brim with thrills and chills, twists and turns, more supervillains than you can shake a web at, and of course, non-stop web-slinging, wall-crawling action.
Perfection.
Anyways, let's talk gameplay. Spider-Man can pretty much do everything you'd expect him to. Punch, kick, jump, web swing, only twice though, that's all they could afford, wall crawl, and spin a web any size. Whilst we're on the topic of webs, you have a lot of variation when it comes to web attacks. Holding triangle will shoot a stream of web out at enemies, causing them to be ensnared within the sticky substance and eventually phase out of existence. But by pressing triangle and any of the D-pad buttons, you can use unique web attacks. Each one has its own benefits and can be useful when you're stuck in a fight. For example, if you find yourself crowded by enemies, you can use the web dome to give yourself some breathing room and then finish them off with your sticky web balls. Or if you need to deal some more damage on a spongy enemy, use your web gloves for twice the punching power. The only one I'll say that I didn't really like was the web yank. You have to press down on the D-pad and triangle to use this, and when it works, it's decent. Especially against the annoying projectile enemies, which we will definitely be talking about later. However, 9 times out of 10 for me, it just meant that Spider-Man turned around and was no longer facing the enemies. You'd have to wait for the game to target the right enemy and try it again, but it happens again and again, and you just end up in a never-ending cycle of pain. Then we've got the wonky controls. Spider-Man's movement uses tank controls. Pressing up moves you forward, down moves you backwards, and right and left controls your direction. It's not the best movement, and I find it only works in a few games. This is not one of them. Spider-Man's movements fluctuates between feeling too stiff or extremely finicky. Instead of Spider-Man stopping what he's doing and turning the way you want him to go, he instead sets off running with the camera behind struggling to keep up. This isn't so bad in big open areas like the city, but when you're in closed spaces or on top of a moving train, which, oh boy, is definitely not the worst level in the game, it's not a great experience. The best thing for you to do is pull a 180 by pressing down on the D-pad. It's the fastest and quickest way, but even this doesn't always work, thanks to the goddamn camera. I absolutely hate this camera. That's it. I just hate it. Moving on. Heading back to the game, we make our way over to the bank, watch these police helicopters get blown up, and don't even try and save them. Wow, nice going, Mr. Superhero. Take out a few guards patrolling the roof, and make our way inside. Before the next level starts, we get asked if we want to save, and in classic PS1 charm, we have to pick a name. Well, my inner child is longing for some toilet humour, so we're going to call ourselves Shithead. Okay then, I guess we'll go for Donut. Jeez, you could have just asked, Spider-Man. Inside the bank, we take out more bad guys, save a few hostages, and stop the thugs from blowing up the building.
Honestly, not a couple of bad tutorial levels. So far so good. But it's here where the fun really begins.
The next level sees us getting a call from everyone's favourite Spider-Man villain, J. Jonah Jameson. Jameson tells us he's under attack from Scorpion, and we swing away to save him. In this level, we have to hurry to the Daily Bugle before Scorpion reaches Jameson and endgames him. What I like about this level is that instead of there being a timer counting down, you've got this bar that shows Scorpion slowly creeping towards Jameson. And when Scorpion reaches him... Although this begs the question, why is it taking Scorpion so long to get to Jameson? In the previous cutscene, he was feet away from him. Has his arthritis kicked in with every step or something? After a while, we reach the Daily Bugle, burst in through the window and land on the sofa, and have our first boss fight. Scorpion's fight is pretty good. His attention will be on Jameson all throughout, only occasionally attacking you if you become a nuisance to him. So not only do you have to fight Scorpion, but you also have to watch Jameson's health at the same time. It's an interesting idea, but Scorpion takes a while to register exactly where Jameson is. So whilst he's searching for Jameson, you're free to attack him, and when you do, his attention will be turned to you until you're incapacitated. There is quite a large window for you to get your attacks in, and I think that kind of ruins the tension of this fight a little bit. Overall, I think Scorpion deserves a B tier for his boss fight. After we defeat Scorpion, Jameson as usual tells us to fuck off and calls the cops on us. We dip out the window and escape the cops before bumping into Daredevil. Yeah, Daredevil's here, and he's not the only cameo in the game. Quite a number of Marvel characters appear throughout. You've also got the Human Torch, the Punisher, Captain America, MOAR in the background of one level, and Black Cat, who is— what the fuck happened to her face? Looks like melted plastic, ew.
This, alongside Marvel Ultimate Alliance, was my first introduction to the wider Marvel universe and its ever-expanding roster of heroes. Thanks, game.
Spider-Man recaps the plot so far to Daredevil, and he swings away just in time, as the cops call in their kill streak and an attack chopper appears behind us. The next couple of levels involve us running away from the chopper and its missiles? Jesus, how important was this stolen tech? Did it give the city clean water or something? After running away from the chopper for what feels like a lifetime, it hits a tower and goes to land, with Spider-Man just watching again. I thought you were a superhero, my guy. Black Cat ambushes us and tells us that the Rhino is attacking a nearby research facility, whilst Venom is talking shit to us in Times Square. We decide to tackle these one at a time and go and see what Venom has to say first.
Oh, Big Apple, it's Venom here, and I'm going to talk to you about Spider-Man. Did you know that Spider-Man, Peter Parker, he has no bitches whatsoever? None whatsoever. He's a little beta bitch. He needs to be a Sigma like me. Fucking hell.
Venom tells us he's kidnapped Mary Jane and challenges us to rescue her. Black Cat offers to go and tackle Rhino by herself, but we refuse and go and help her take him down. And it's a good thing we did too, because she gets absolutely bodied before the fight even starts. With Black Cat out of the picture, we fight Rhino on our own, and his boss fight is really easy. All you need to do is just bait him into running into the wall and punch him, explosive barrels, or my favourite, these electrical conductors.
When I got to this boss fight, I would only try and take him down using those conductors. It was oddly satisfying watching him slowly be electrocuted until he just fell to the floor. Jesus, no wonder I'm so messed up.
I would probably put Rhino's boss fight in the D tier. Anyways, we defeat Rhino, Doc Ock helps the police, maybe he is reformed, and we change into our civvy clothes to find Black Cat, who is being wheeled away by whatever these things are.
Cat, it's Peter.
Peter, gotta help me. They're not really paramedics.
Well, that just confirms it. These guys are probably some aliens or monsters in disguise. We gotta take them out, right, Spider-Man? Let's go save Black Cat and go find Mary Jane and be— Wait, you're just gonna let them take her? Really? You know, I don't think you're the real Spider-Man. After we let Black Cat get kidnapped, we have a quick talk with the Human Torch, who motivates us to go rescue Mary Jane, find Venom, and put a stop to his—
There he is.
Venom baits us into chasing him, and we have to keep up, or it's game over. After chasing him over rooftops, through a building, then out of the building— alright, that was weird. And some more rooftops, we finally catch up to him, where he offers to fight us. He jumps through a billboard, Looney Tunes style, and we follow him.
Venom's fight is actually really tough. Out of all of the boss fights in this game, this is the one that I struggle with the most.
Venom can disappear every so often, and you have to find him before he chases after you like a predator. He has quite a lot of varied attacks too, ranging from grabbing you and giving you a lick, to pulling you in from a wall and whacking you, to even extending his arm, grabbing your head and shaking it around. Yeah, I'm a bit confused with that one. I do think that sometimes his attacks can go into bullshit territory. Like, you can only get about 2 hits in before he whacks you and takes out a big chunk of your health. His attacks aren't really telegraphed well and can leave you feeling like they're nothing more than cheap shots. It only just slightly verged on unfair, but I mean, I was playing on normal, not kid mode. Definitely an A-tier boss fight. We finally get the better of Venom and he retreats into the sewers. The next couple of missions are dedicated to following Venom in the sewers, fighting some lizard minions, and solving some puzzles. I don't like these levels. The sewer section perfectly highlights all of the game's flaws, whilst also being so incredibly frustrating and needlessly drawn out. Firstly, you've got the lizard minions. Unlike the enemies you fought until now, these guys will travel in packs and try and swarm you from all sides. Their attacks range from slashes to giving you hugs, to annoying projectile attacks which can actually stun lock you if you're not careful. And whilst we're on the topic of that projectile attack, I hate it. If you're far away from the lizard minions, they'll start spitting what I'm assuming is acid at you over and over again. The only way to get them to stop this is to get closer to them, but you have no way to avoid their projectiles. So you'll quickly find that you'll move closer to the enemy, get hit, move a little closer, get hit again, and repeat until they stop. It's a tedious process. It's even worse when you fight them in narrow corridors and you're constantly fighting against a goddamn camera just to see where they're coming from. The levels are also littered with instant game overs. Spider-Man can drown if he dips just his toe in the water. Touch it and you're dead. Sometimes you won't even expect it. An area that had absolutely no water now all of a sudden has a running river flowing through it. There's no way to detect this change, no spider sense or anything. I found that I was constantly on edge throughout these levels, and not in a good way. And I think the level that shows this the best is the fucking train level. Unlimited supply of enemies with frustrating ranged attacks? Check. Bullshit instant game over screens? Check. Constantly fighting the controls so you don't fall off and can actually target the enemies with your web attacks? Check, check, fucking check. But you know what? There are actually a lot of things to really love about the sewer levels, and the best example is definitely the final level in the tunnel maze. You've got to crawl along the ceiling and find the right way to Venom's lair, whilst watching out for deadly machinery.
What the hell was that?
And even Venom himself. He proper messes with you in this level too. His booming voice speaks out to you unexpectedly, he can show up when you least expect it, or my personal favourite, that is amazing.
Hey, Insomniac Games, this is how you do Venom properly. Perhaps you should have taken some notes.
And there's also some nice hidden secrets too, like a cameo from the lizard, who ends up giving you directions to the end of the level.
Go back along this tunnel and cross over 2 waterways. At the 3rd waterway, go
Alright, you gotta write all that down because I'm not gonna remember any of it, but here we go.
And hey, have another fun development fact. Lizard was supposed to get a boss fight in this game. He was even supposed to show up in the last cutscene. Look, there he is in the storyboards.
Want a break from the ads?
After trying to remember where Lizard told me to go and failing 30 seconds later, we end the level and finally find Mary J. Jesus Christ, not her too. What is it with the women in this game looking like white Michael Jackson? Anyways, we enter our second fight with Venom, and I think this one is less difficult than the first. After the first fight, you kind of get an idea as to what his attacks are like and can easily determine what you need to do to beat him. However, there is the added pressure of Mary Jane drowning, and you've got to stop the water by pressing the levers, so things are still tense. I think I prefer this one over the first, I'm not too sure, they're both equally decent. A tier again. We managed to beat Venom for the last time and knock some sense into him about our innocence. Venom agrees and becomes our partner to help us track down the real culprit. After a brief discussion, Spider-Man decides the best thing to do is to head to the Daily Bugle to get some more information. And it's here where we get the best Venom scene in the entire game.
Here it is, the records room.
Surf the web, surf the web.
Shut up, Brock, we don't have time.
Parker, wait, could it be?
Could what?
Yes, we sense our other.
Who? Since who?
It's our other, the symbiote known as Carnage. We must stop him.
Now?
Yes, now. We have no choice.
I have no words. That is just pure art right there. After Venom dips, our spider sense goes off and we're introduced to the last enemy type in the game, symbiotes.
These fucking things. You thought the lizard minions were terrible enemies to fight? Let me introduce you to these annoying bastards.
The symbiotes are not only challenging, but frustratingly tedious to take out. Firstly, they're so spongy. Web attacks are pretty much useless against them. That helpful web ball and web dome you've been using? Nah, forget about them. Web glove and go to town. Except you'll only be able to get about 2 hits in before they start pummeling you. Their projectile attack is so damn quick too. At least the lizard minions had a little bit of a break between their animations. This just feels like they've got a gun on standby. It gets even worse when we head down into the basement and find these symbiote generators. These machines will endlessly respawn symbiotes for you to fight, and you'll have to destroy them before a new one is made. The thing is that there's always one guarding the generator, so naturally you attack it again and again until it's finally turned into jelly. Then you turn your attention to the generator when all of a sudden...
Excuse me, what the actual fuck?
The game does give you an advantage later with this fire webbing, but it's very far and few between, and it's all gone after firing 2 web balls. Nice thought though, I'll give you points for that. Also, here is what the symbiotes look like during development.
Oh my god! What is that?
Back to the game, we fight our way through the office, save some civilians, head down to the Bugle's basement, trudge through a painful elevator level, take out some generators, and finally catch up to the imposter. And it's finally revealed that the imposter was none other than Mysterio, and I couldn't be happier that he's here.
For me, Mysterio is my favourite Spider-Man villain, and I don't even know what it is about him. He's always stuck with me. Maybe it's his goofy design, maybe it's his showmanship attitude, or maybe it's the fact he's an actual menace in the comics.
You know the Old Man Logan comic? The inspiration for one of the greatest comic book movies of all time? Well, he caused Wolverine to kill all of the X-Men in that story. Yeah, Mysterio did. Look it up, it's shocking. However, I think it's largely to do with his video game appearances. Out of all of Spider-Man's villains, he's the one that has appeared in the most video games. From his otherworldly appearance in the Spider-Man 2 movie game, to the main villain of Shattered Dimensions, and even the most recent Insomniac game. And now he's in the PS1 game with, in my opinion, the best boss fight in the entire game. The fight basically boils down to you jumping up and down the floors to fire your web balls at the conduits on his body, whilst also dodging traps and Mysterio's attacks. Sounds easy enough. Why is this the best fight, you may be asking? One word: spectacle. Mysterio is a character that is all about spectacle, and his boss fight shows that off in spades. You've got him in the middle, huge and looming, his different attacks that constantly keep you on your toes, the corny dialogue from Spider-Man and Mysterio.
Who mixes green and purple? I don't get it.
Oh, careful now!
After I take you...
And the music.
Oh my god, this boss theme is amazing. Just listen to it.
It makes the fight what it is, and without the music, I don't think I'd be gushing over it as much as I am. Once all the conduits have been hit, you enter the second phase. He'll fire lasers from his yellow eye things, and then after that you've got to hit his fishbowl to finish him off. I will admit that these lasers do almost ruin the fight and can lead to some bullshit moments. There isn't any real way to telegraph which direction these lasers are coming from, and sometimes he can replay the same animation 3 times in a row and stun lock you, landing a cheap kill. I found the best way to overcome this was jumping in the middle and see how many hits you can get in before his animation starts from the beginning. It worked for me.
And if you thought that the music was badass in the first part, it gets even better.
You know, I've just realised I've not even talked about the music yet. The music in Spider-Man PS1 was composed by Tommy Tallarico, and is a combination of indie rock with a bit of synth and metal thrown in for good measure. Each track is different from each other and reflects what you're experiencing in the game. Some are mysterious, some are scary, but a lot of them are loud and bombastic with the guitar going wild. This soundtrack is one of the rare breeds that sticks with you for a very long time.
I always have a hard time picking my favourites, there's just so many bangers to choose from, so I'm just going to list a few that I like the most. Here, take a listen. And of course, there's Mysterio's theme. I'm just going to play it one more time, it's too good. Mysterio's fight is easily an S ranking, no questions asked. Speaking of Mysterio, after finally beating him, we interrogate him for some information. He tells us to head over to a warehouse on the waterfront and we thank him for his help. We reach the warehouse and find more symbiote generators inside. Hooray. We take him out, find an entrance to an underground complex and jump down. After we reach the bottom, we find ourselves in an underwater facility that has electrified floors and walls and laser turrets. This is some Umbrella Corporation shit right here. We make our way past them and eventually find ourselves at the source of the fog. After doing some exploring and trying to get the Spidey armor but failing miserably because of the fucking symbiotes shooting their sticky stuff at me, we bump into Black Cat in all of her plastic surgery glory. Black Cat tells us to overload the fog to shut down the security system. We finally get the Spidey armor, we do as we're told, and it works. Black Cat goes to get some help whilst we head further in to confront the final boss. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the mastermind behind this insidious plot to frame Spider-Man and unleash the symbiotes upon the world is finally unmasked. It's, Dr. Octopus. Oh hey, look, Carnage is here. Venom drops in to lend us a hand and takes Carnage away for a little chat, leaving us to take on Doc Ock. Doc Ock's fight is alright. It's just okay. All you have to do is just keep running in the circle and wait for these switches to drop down. Hit all 4, get in there and punch him. Do this 3 times, you're done. Barriers do drop down after every switch is hit, which you'll have to jump over, but they're not that much of a hindrance, unless you get stuck on one. Doc Ock's fight is a C tier for sure. With Doc Ock easily defeated, we're next probably going to help Venom fight Carnage.
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
With Venom down, Carnage drags us up for some one-on-one time. Unlike all the other bosses, you can't damage Carnage with any of your standard attacks. Webs, punches, kicks, they barely even tickle him. What you have to do instead is force him into this sound bubble that slowly chips away at his health. It's a bit awkward to get him into this bubble, and you have to properly line him up, but even when you think you've got him perfectly aligned, he just gets pushed over to the side. When you do manage to get him into the bubble, it's fairly easy to keep him there. It actually becomes a bit funny with how easy it is. This should be an A tier, but considering how easy it can be, it's gonna have to go in the C tier. With Carnage down, the symbiote slides off of him, and that's it. We've beaten the bad guys, stopped the symbiote invasion, and are ready to go home.
What's up? Is that Hawk?
Oh no. I forgot about him. This is Monster Rock, basically the Carnage symbiote on Dr. Octopus. He's a grotesque, creepy monster that makes some really disturbing sounds. Like, really disturbing.
scary!
Before we even have time to react, the facility starts to self-destruct, so we make a run for it, with Monster Rock hot on our tail. Wait, hang on a second. Where's Venom? Did he escape whilst we were fighting Carnage? And what about Cletus Cassidy? Are we not taking him with us? Alright pal, jig's up. I know that you're not the real Spider-Man. What have you done with him? Tell me! So we make a break for it whilst Monster Rock chases us down, and after fighting with the controls yet again and dying a few times... Jesus, that's dark. I guess you could technically count this as a boss fight, so we'll go for A tier for this one. After running for what feels like a lifetime, we finally reach the end of the level. Monster Rock is subdued, we carry Rock out of the facility, and in a nick of time, Venom, Black Cat and Captain America comes to our rescue. Good to know Venom got out. Shame about Carnage though. Oh well, 1 out of 2 villains isn't bad, right Spider-Man? The final cutscene shows both our heroes and villains playing a game of Go Fish. By the way, whoever thought of this picture is a genius and I'd love to shake your hand. Before fading to black with the ominous title, The End.
Question mark?
And that was the story of Spider-Man PS1. It was a fun time, albeit a bit frustrating in some areas. So, I guess we're done here, right? Well, not quite. There is still a few things left to do. Firstly, in true Spider-Man game fashion, there are unlockable suits. A few recognisable ones like the Black Suit or Spider-Man 2099, but there's a few you probably don't know like Captain Universe and Spider-Man Unlimited from the short-lived animated show. What's cool about these is that they're not just cosmetics, they actually have special abilities like unlimited webbing or invisibility. But some like the bombastic Bagman actually have drawbacks like only being able to carry 2 web cartridges instead of the standard 10. They're there for those who are looking for more of a challenge. These can be unlocked by completing the game on harder difficulties, collecting all the game's comic book covers, or getting high scores in the challenge modes. Challenge modes offer time trials, item collection, and waves of enemies to fight. Oh wait, I'm sorry, kill. Spider-Man be out here taking names. Some of these even have secret areas like this Kraven the Hunter lair. Hey look, a new suit unlocked. Then finally, you have the infamous What If mode, an alternative playthrough of the game where different things can happen throughout. It's still the same story, but there's just a few new things sprinkled throughout, such as cameos, funny lines,
Marco.
Fish out of water!
I am under the water.
an LSD trip during Doc Ock's boss fight, and Carnage having a child's voice, which is strangely creepier. Playing this game made me feel like a kid all over again, and I love it for that. It will always hold such a special place in my heart, and is the reason why I'm such a big Spider-Man fan. However, just taking the nostalgia goggles off for a second, I don't really think this has aged that well. The controls are stiff and you constantly struggle with them. Some of the enemies are so frustrating to fight, and the camera is repeatedly beating you every time you make a turn. But I don't think that detracts from the game's appeal and charm. There's a reason why there are so many hardcore fans who create videos on YouTube, meme the shit out of it, mod the game with new skins and features, or dive into the development history and talk to those who crafted the experience. There are flaws with it for sure, and after playing it I can definitely see the cracks. But it doesn't matter to me. I will always love this game. It holds a special place in my heart and makes me think back to my childhood. Back when times were much, much simpler. And when Spider-Man PS1 was released, it was a massive hit with great critical reception and a whopping
unknown amount of copies sold.
So, with all that positive press and money stuffed into their fat pockets, Activision naturally greenlit a sequel.
Wasn't as good.
Think of a Spider-Man game, any Spider-Man game, and I bet your first answer wasn't Enter Electro. Developed by Vicarious Visions, now known as, oh, hey, I know someone who once worked there.
Lizard.
The game is the sequel to the Neversoft classic. It often gets overlooked by the masses when talking about their favourite Spidey games, and I've often wondered why that is exactly. What was it about this game that made so many people forget it existed? Was it the lack of interesting villains compared to the first game's amazing selection? Or maybe the forgettable story that feels like a side plot rather than a grand story with stakes? Or perhaps it was something more than that. Maybe everyone treated this game more harshly than it deserved and have simply dismissed dismissed it as an inferior sequel to the most nostalgic Spider-Man game of all time. Enter Electro was a game that I didn't grow up with as a kid. In fact, I didn't even know about its existence until I started secondary school. And unlike Spider-Man PS1, the game that I played for hours on end, I've never done a full playthrough of this. Well, that's about to change. Let's do this. Well, that was incredibly mid.
Yeah, I'll be honest, after playing through this game from start to finish, I can see why people tend to be mixed on it. It's far from being a bad game, and it has a lot of redeeming qualities, some that, in my opinion, were done better here than in the first game. But there's something about this game that I just think is very meh. And that's what we're here to find out. In this video, we're going to dissect the entirety of Enter Electro. We'll cover every single aspect of this game, such as the story, gameplay, level design, soundtrack, and see which one of these is the main reason why this game just misses the mark. And of course, we'll crack a few jokes, have a few laughs, and tell some fun development stories along the way.
And speaking of stories, I know which section of the game we should talk about first. In my opinion, the most important part of any game and can make or break the entire package. Yes, I'm of course talking about the gameplay.
If you played the first game, then you'll be delighted to know that Enter Electro's core gameplay remains largely the same. Square punches, circle kicks, triangle is your web attacks, and you can still use triangle and any of the D-pad buttons to perform different web attacks. Web ball, web dome, web gloves, and yes, even web yank. In my video on the first game, I explicitly stated that the web yank was the only web attack I had issues with. It just never registered the input when I tried it, and would always result in Spider-Man just turning around and facing the camera. So I was pretty much expecting the same thing with Enter Electro, but I've gotta say, I didn't have the same problems this time. I'm not sure if this is because I got used to the input and what it requires from me, or if the mechanics have been fine-tuned, but yeah, the web yank was actually good this time. The movement controls are also relatively the same, and so is my opinion on them. Tank controls suck for this kind of game. Spider-Man doesn't turn and you have to awkwardly press the left and right buttons to get him to move. Best to just press down so he does a 180. I don't know what I was expecting from Enter Electro, but it seems like the developers just copy and pasted the gameplay, added a couple of new animations, made them graphics better.
That is bloody lovely.
And call it a day. It doesn't do anything to innovate the formula, and I can hear you now saying, well, if the first game wasn't broken, why fix it? Bro, if you want to pay for the same game again and nothing new be added, go and play a Call of Duty game. There could have been a new mechanic or an exciting feature that completely transformed the game, but instead all we got were just electric and ice web cartridges that are never explained. They just show up because it's a video game, I guess? You could have at least tried to fine-tune the movement and do away with the tank controls. The PS1 did have analog controllers, you know. This game's gameplay is what Miles Morales' gameplay is to Spider-Man PS4. Same overall concept with a few things added in that doesn't transform it immensely and make it a brand new experience. Honestly, if this was released today, it would be considered DLC, and that's not really a good label to have.
However, that doesn't mean to say that the developers didn't have any new ideas. For better or for worse.
Spider-Man PS1's levels were incredibly memorable for a number of different reasons. The first is the locations. City rooftops, inside a bank, the Daily Bugle, wherever Rhino's boss fight took place, the sewers, a waterfront warehouse, a facility/lab, and a dance floor. The second is how different each one feels. One minute you'll be chasing Venom, the next you'll be fighting him in an alleyway, followed by swinging to sewer pipes, and then nope, get that off my screen right now! And the final reason is the level design itself. Boss fights with loads of things to keep an eye on or dodge, the levels taking you from one place to the next with something new at the other side.
Oh, poop.
They were all memorable, yes, even the subway level. For Enter Electro, Vicarious Visions did try and stick to this formula, to varying results. Some levels are true standouts that I thoroughly enjoyed, like for example the level with the bomb and its 4 colour-coded keys. You have to run around the map looking for enemies to take out and reclaim the keys to defuse the bomb. Fail to find the keys, the timer reaches 0, and... well, that was the most anticlimactic explosion I've ever seen. The great thing about this in particular is that the enemies don't spawn in the same location, making each time you play this level a unique experience. How about another great level? In this one, you need to catch a train to learn more about what's going on. However, the Sandman is there to stop you by any means. Occasionally, as you chase the train, he'll stop you in your tracks by putting up this big massive sand wall that you'll have to quickly destroy. You'll have to use the nearby boxes and barrels to destroy the wall, whilst dodging Sandman who's constantly chasing after you. The level gives you a couple of options here. You could either temporarily take out Sandman to give you some breathing room, or you could try and dodge his attacks as best as you can and focus your attention on the walls. The choice is yours, and I love the freedom it gives.
There are a lot of levels in Enter Electro like this, and some are on par or even better than the first game. And then you have the other levels. They fucking suck.
Okay, before I blast these levels for being my 13th reason, I just want to say that I appreciate Vicarious Visions for... trying. It's clear that they had a few ideas swimming around during development to make sure that every level felt different, whether that be with gameplay mechanics, enemies, or locations. It's just... they don't work for this game. Let's go over a few examples. Shocker's boss fight was the first level I came across that genuinely infuriated me. Shocker's gauntlets are too powerful, and you can't attack him head on. What the game tells you to do is yank boxes onto him and knock him out. There's a few problems with this almost immediately. The first is the fact that we have to use the web yank, and as you know, I love me some web yanks. Secondly, the boxes are never highlighted whilst you're trying to dodge Shocker's attacks. What you have to do is stop dead in your tracks and use L2 to find a box to use against him. But before you have time to get the web yank to work, Shocker is unleashing his 1-2 combo, and now you're dead. And to add on to that frustration, sometimes when you successfully yank the box, Shocker isn't even in the right spot for it to damage him. So all that time spent was pointless, and now oh come on, just fuck off already! Thirdly, Shocker's attacks happen way too often. There are times when this fucking yellow and brown cushion looking dickhead does up to 5 moves in a row. 5 in a row. He never gives you any breathing space for you to come up with a plan and is constantly breathing down your neck. And before you type that YouTube comment that I know you're doing now, yes, I know it's supposed to add tension in the fight, but I also feel like I can't do anything against Shocker and his rings of power. Finally, the camera. It's constantly fixed on Shocker, which, to be fair, does keep him in my line of sight all times, but it makes navigating my environment a fucking chore. So as you can see, the developers had some good ideas, but the game's mechanics couldn't allow it to feel as smooth as they probably would have wanted. Let's look at another example, shall we? In this level, you have to disable the force fields preventing you from advancing to the next stage. In order to do this, you'll have to go into 3 separate rooms and find the switch that turns off the force field. But it's not that easy. Each room will have a different challenge that you'll have to beat in order to unlock the switches. The first will have you destroy drone generators, the second will have you tricking laser turrets to shoot each other, and the third will have you raising the temperature in the room to scramble the drone's sensors, allowing you to get the switch. Do these 3, bada boom, bada bing, you can move on. The thing is, whilst the first 2 are easy to understand and fairly straightforward, the third one was quite confusing. Okay, so as soon as you enter this room, Spider-Man tells you to head to the terminal. He states that we need to raise the heat to match his body temperature.
Now, I'm no scientific expert, but I'm pretty sure that the average human cannot withstand 105, what I'm assuming is degrees. But this is a video game, so what the heck.
But then I started to have a panic attack when I saw this red filter on my screen. So I ran out thinking I messed up, but eventually went back in only to realise that nothing was happening. So raising the heat to max is fine? Well, what about that scary red filter on my screen? I don't know about you, but in games I've played, whenever I see a red filter, my brain goes into holy shit, I'm going to fucking die mode.
Again, they're trying something new with the levels, but it just doesn't work the way they probably intended for it to. But the one level that shows this off the best, or the worst I guess, is the fucking plane level. Without a doubt, the most insufferable, painful, annoying, hair-pulling level in the entire game. What you have to do is stop an out-of-control plane that has a pilot inside from crashing and blowing up. The plane is constantly on the move, and the hangar is littered with boxes and barrels that can damage it. So your first priority will be to remove them with your impact webbing. You also have to open the hangar doors so the plane can keep going, otherwise, yep, you guessed it, it blows up. You also have to use your webbing to clog up the plane's engines and eventually get it to stop. I bet you're looking at this and going, piece of cake, I can do this with my eyes closed. It looks so easy to do. Wrong! This level is pain. Pain, I say! Playing through this level was the most excruciatingly asinine thing that I've ever had the luxury of doing since my hands picked up the game controller. It's that bad. You know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna make another segment here. The 10 reasons why the plane level is the fucking worst. Number 1, the controls aren't great under this kind of pressure. They're not smooth and fluid as the developers were probably thinking, and it makes it so difficult. Number 2, you don't have that many web cartridges and you have to scavenge for more, except the area is so fucking big and they put them so far away from you, so you go over and lose precious minutes that could be spent stopping the plane. Number 3, these things, whatever they are, cannot be destroyed. My web balls track it like it's supposed to damage it, but it does fuck all, and the plane is always damaged by them. Number 4, the plane is too fucking fast. If you focus on clearing the path first, you can turn around and find it breathing down your neck. Number 5, the plane turns when you take out one of the engines and easily blows up after giving the wall a little love tap. Yeah, I guess this is true in terms of aerodynamics, but it's really annoying and makes me want to go back to drinking full time. Number 6, the targeting system forces you to get close to the plane, but you only have so much time to web the engine before the plane hits you and you get soft locked. Number 7, this flap makes it look like you can stop the plane turning if you web it, but that isn't the case. So what's the point of having developers coding the tracking for such a pointless thing? Number 8, why couldn't Spider-Man just jump on the plane and get the pilot out of there? There's gotta be an easier way for him to save this guy instead of torturing the players who bought this game over and over again. Hey, wait a second, he does exactly this in the end cutscene. What gives? Why did you put me through that? Was it for your own amusement, you sick fuck? Number 9, the fact I have to get jump scared by this Daily Bugle news article every time I fail the mission. And finally, number 10, this cringy joke.
Quick, Spider Lad, you stop the plane and I'll get the bad guys. Oh wait, I don't have a sidekick.
So in conclusion, plane level bad. But I'll tell you what isn't bad. The story. Instead, it's painfully mid. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Spider-Man PS1 story was absolute cinema, but it had a certain charm to it. It had everything that made a good comic book story. A likable hero, great side characters, memorable villains, awesome cameos, and the greatest scene in the history of gaming. It was everything that a corny Spider-Man story should be. So naturally, going into Enter Electro, I was expecting something similar that carried over the same tone and witty writing. But the more I played it, the more I felt bored. Nothing was grabbing me the same way the first game did. The writing wasn't getting me, the villains weren't entertaining, and the whole plot was boring. Let's start from the beginning. The game opens with our main villain Electro easily walking into a building and takes out this security guard, Dr. Connors, who will be important later, and this woman. Oh come on, you had so much time to at least try and run away, you lazy bitch. Electro steals the device and downloads more information about said device from a conveniently placed terminal. Security arrives, Electro puts on his mask even though everyone has already seen his face, and escapes with the device. Alright, so as far as intros go, this one was pretty decent. It shows off our main villain, a MacGuffin, and has a mysterious, creepy tone all throughout. Does it beat Spider-Man PS1's intro? Fuck no. But it's not trying to. It's just here to provide you with a setup for the game's plot, and that's it. It does its job, but at the same time, I wish there was more. Like, what about some more dialogue, or maybe another villain helping out to establish some of the other bad guys we'll be encountering? I don't hate it, I just wanted more. So, 6 slow turning lady in a chair out of 10? The next level is the standard tutorial level featuring the blue furry X-Man Beast, the game's one and only cameo in the story. Yeah, I'm being serious. Oh, what's that? You were expecting there to be more cameos? Like, oh, I don't know, anyone else in the Marvel universe? Nope, it's just Beast. No disrespect to Beast, I like him. I just wanted more. It makes the world feel so small. And before you say in the comments, no, Rogue and Professor X do not count. They're in the training mode only. Shut up! Anyways, after we have our tutorial, we detect trouble afoot, as some goons and a mysterious figure that I definitely didn't spoil earlier blow up a building. The figure makes off with a suitcase, but not before we throw a tracker on his motorbike. We then take out his goons on the, oh my god, we're on the streets. Finally, no more toxic yellow clouds stopping us from touching the amazingly clean New York streets. I wonder if we'll see a hobo along the way. Once all the goons have been defeated, we head to the rooftops to track down that mysterious figure. And after swinging from one building to another, fighting off really fruity looking mercenaries and their machine gun turrets, a bit overkill, don't you think, guys? We track them down to a warehouse filled with, yep, of course, more bad guys. Spider-Man beats them all and interrogates one of them for more information. He mentions something about an airfield and we let him down before Shocker comes in to have a scrap with us. Spider-Man beats Shocker, escapes the warehouse before it explodes, hands him over to the police, and then makes his way over to the airfield. Before we move on, once again we have to choose a name in order to save. Considering my name got smacked last time for being so crude, I thought I'd appeal to the gods and go with something safe. So, hello, my name is... As we're swinging on by, we get rudely shot at with an RPG? Jeez, I see Electro isn't messing around this time. We go into the bomb level I mentioned earlier and quickly disable it before moving on to the airfield. Arriving at the airfield, we see a new mysterious figure holding a similar looking briefcase to the one that Shocker had earlier. We take out some turrets to make sure the cops don't get blown to pieces before heading inside to start... Oh yay, it's my favourite level. Before we torture ourselves with that plane level, we throw a spider tracer onto the mysterious figure's helicopter so we can track him later. Half an hour goes by and my alcoholism has returned, but we finally save the pilot and begin to track down the helicopter. The tracker takes us to a train yard where the figure is currently making his escape. After flipping a bunch of switches, we finally reach the train and see the figure being handed another case by another mysterious figure, who just fucking melts out of nowhere. No, it turns out that this is the Sandman, and it's also here where we play the catch the train level I mentioned earlier. Once we catch the train, Spider-Man searches through it and finds out that the mysterious figure is the Beetle, one of his most underrated and overlooked villains. He has a mechanised armoured suit that can fly and has lasers that you can see him use here to escape the train. Wait, what? Well, Spider-Man could have easily stopped him in a number of ways. But hey, look! The dumbass left his trench coat behind with another clue. Cut to the next scene where Electro explains that the device he has stolen, which is labelled the Bio-Nexus device, converts a person's energy into electrical power. He aims to use the device to essentially open his third eye and become all powerful. Electro has hired the supervillains to gather more parts of the device, and thanks to them, it's now complete. The only thing missing is its power source. The chief scientist, Dr. Watts, knows where the power source is, and locating her is the next thing on the villain's to-do list. Spider-Man attends the ball the Beetle was invited to and sees that Hammerhead's goons have already broken in and taken hostages. We take them out, save the hostages, and then come face to face with Hammerhead himself. Dr. Watts makes a run for it, Hammerhead orders his men to chase her, but stops us from following them and starts to fight us. We deal with Hammerhead and chase after Dr. Watts, only to find that she's been kidnapped by the Sandman. With no idea what to do now, Spider-Man suddenly remembers that the Doctor works with Dr. Connors, the one-armed man that got murked at the beginning of the game, and decides to give him a quick call. But oh no, it looks like the good Doctor has transformed into the Lizard once again, because sure, why not? And we rush to save him. We infiltrate Umbrella Biotech, and make our way over to Dr. Connors' lab. After some painful levels filled with drones, electricity, force fields, and more drones, we finally reach Connors' lab to find out what's happened to him and jump scare! Spider-Man quickly synthesizes a cure, administers it to Connors, and restores him back to factory settings. Connors explains what the BioNexus device is, but doesn't have the answers we're looking for, so we head over to Dr. Watts' lab. After fighting more drones, lasers, and more drones, we reach the Doctor's lab, where it's revealed that the device's power source is... sapphires? What? Glad to see the writers have taken notes from Batman and Robin of all things. Before we can learn any more, Sandman drops by to spoil our fun and throws us out of the window. In return, Spider-Man gives him a nice shower and he slithers away. We evade security and happen upon a newspaper that explains a big sapphire is on show in a museum which would easily power the device. A henchman of all people discovers the news about the sapphire and tells Electro about it. I do hope he got a promotion after that act of sheer loyalty. His family could use the extra money. Spider-Man heads to the museum to find Electro, who is just standing there. He looks like a kid waiting for his mum to pick him up from school. Electro runs away with the Doctor and leaves Spider-Man to fight some samurai robots. We take them out, use them to destroy the generator, and follow Electro. We finally catch up to Electro, beat him down, and knock him into the next room. We catch the Sapphire, but Electro has the Doctor and is threatening to electrocute her. They agree on the trade, but Spidey attempts to catch the Sapphire with his web.
Check. Mate.
Electro plugs the Sapphire into the BioNexus device and becomes Hyper Electro, completing his goals. Spider-Man gets knocked out but comes to later and chases after Electro to a really strange looking building. Wait, why does it look like that? Is there a reason? Oh no, this took a dark turn. Let's just forget we saw that and just move on. After a long, tough battle, Spider-Man beats Hyper Electro, stopping his evil plans. As usual, the Daily Bugle gives no credit to Spidey, and he swings away as depressed as ever. Electro, Hammerhead, and Shocker are all locked up in jail, and we see that they are right next door to the villains from the first game. Fade to black, the end.
Hello there, this is Editing Gamer-Pinion here. I just want to say there's actually a little bit more to the story that has literally just been revealed. So a couple of months ago, I believe, there was a picture going around where it showed that the mighty Thor was actually in Spider-Man Enter Electro, and it was actually available on a website that was circulating around the time of the game's release. But no one had any idea what this is. Until now, because someone has literally found the video containing Thor on a hard drive somewhere. Yeah, so here's how the game should have ended. Yeah, just watch.
If I don't dispose of them, some other goon will make a try for it. Next time, it could be Ultron, or someone even heavier. First things first, though. Now what's this all about? I've already beaten the bad guy and saved the day.
By mine enchanted Uru Malat Mjolnir, I sense disturbances in the Furies that are the providence of the noble son of Asgard and none other.
Hi, Thor. Nice of you to show up. Little late, though.
Spider-Man? Surely thou doth not possess power enow to make the very heavens shake as they did?
Not me. He doth. I mean, or did.
Once again, thou hast proven thy mettle as a warrior born. Fare thee well, webbed one.
Thanks for the cameo, though, really. Thunder gods. Huh? Oh, thanks! Hey, a little warning next time would be nice. You're not looking so hot, Electro.
You're probably wondering why this might have been cut. I think it was probably to do with the World Trade Center stuff that we discussed earlier. Again, we're not going to talk about that, so enjoy the video. So that's Enter Electro's plot, and I don't know about you, but I feel a tad disappointed.
I don't know what I was really expecting. Was I wanting to have a story that felt similar but different to the first game? Because it kind of felt like that. It has a plethora of villains, a crazy plot, a lot of different kinds of levels in different settings, and some good old corny comic book dialogue.
Three magical keys!
Well, there's a number of factors at play. The first was simply that the story is not that engaging. I didn't really feel like what Spider-Man was up against was all that threatening. Oh no, Electro wants more power or something, we gotta stop him, whatever. There were no stakes. Spider-Man wasn't up against the wall all the time and racing around like a madman trying to stop Electro. In fact, if you think about it, Spider-Man always conveniently finds the next piece of the puzzle and easily slides his way into the next step of Electro's plan. Like, I can just imagine one of the writers' rooms being like, we need Spider-Man to figure out where the jewel is being kept so he can have his final showdown with Sparky Fingers. Any ideas, boys? Yep, I've got it. Let's have a newspaper article right in front of him. Oh, genius. Give this man a raise right now. Good show. The second thing is the lack of charm. It has a much more serious tone this time around, but as a result, we're losing some of that comic book flair and colour that the first game oozed. I get they were trying to do something different, and I hate to keep comparing the two games, but we really went backwards here. It traded in the lovable charm, humour and colour that people loved from the first game and replaced it with, well, nothing. They just sucked it all out and called it a day. Lastly, the villains. Electro is a boring villain. There, I said it. Every single Electro story I see is just him wanting more power or him being a cocky goon. Some writers do try and give him some depth, which can result in a few interesting takes. Or on the other hand, you end up with, oh, no, get that off my screen right now. I'm not going to pretend like Doc Ock was a Shakespearean villain in the first game, but he was memorable and he had a plan that made sense with some stakes to boot. Electro has none of this. I guess it doesn't help when you sound like this too. But I do like some of the other villains. Sandman is the venom of this game, constantly a threat when he shows up, always tries to stop you. He was a great addition. Hammerhead, Shocker and Lizard were good for the short time we saw them, albeit I do wish they had more to do than just be cannon fodder for Electro's big plan. But hey, at least they had some good boss fights. Right? Enter Electro has 6 boss fights in total, which we will now go over in order of appearance and rank once again on the tier list you see in front of you. We've covered Shocker already. His boss fight is average at best. Frustrating mechanics and Shocker's attacks that can sometimes tally up to 5 in a row really ruins this fight for me. Although, after a while, I did realise that I can just web yank him and throw boxes at him, so yeah. Shocker is in the C tier. Next up, we have Hammerhead. I like this one. He can't be attacked with webs or punches whilst he has his Tommy gun. You could either web yank his gun away, leaving him open for you to attack him, or bait him into hitting a wall, which is a lot harder to pull off. Later in the second stage, you do have a helicopter that can shoot at you, but I think the pilot might have been drunk because he didn't get me at all. Overall, there's not that much to Hammerhead's fight. Once you figure out a pattern, it's fairly easy to beat him. He surprisingly goes down within a couple of hits, more if you have web gloves on. Let's put Hammerhead's fight in the B tier. Next up was the one that I was looking forward to the most, the Lizard. If you've watched my video on the first game, then you'll know that the Lizard was originally supposed to get a boss fight, but was cut at the last minute. Vicarious Visions saw his potential and have finally included his boss fight in this game. Unfortunately, it's quite mid. The fight will have you running around the level, finding the web cartridges with the antidote, shooting the Lizard with them to weaken him, punch him for a bit, repeat a couple of times, and you're done. Whoopee! Yay. Whatever. Lizard also doesn't let up at all throughout this fight either. He is constantly pursuing you and has a lot of different attacks. The downside is that his attacks are so fast and frequent that he can sometimes stunlock you, barely giving you a chance to even stand up. Come on man, you're making Shocker's bullshit spam look tolerable right now. I'm a bit disappointed with Lizard's fight, I'm not gonna lie. So unfortunately, I think the only right tier for this one is the C tier. Next up, we have Sandman. The basic concept of his fight is quite similar to Lizard's. Turn on the water, get a minute to weaken him, punch him a few times, level complete. The reason why I prefer this to Lizard's fight is because of the fact that you have to bait him into the water. It adds great tension and a little bit of strategy. It's not amazing, but it's better than Lizard's in every way. B tier. Electro is the penultimate boss and is the best one out of all 6 of these fights. He's in the middle of this Moonlander exhibit and you'll have to jump up and hit him for a bit before he pushes you away with this area of effect attack. However, he's constantly throwing all sorts of attacks at you, like lightning bolts, lasers that protect him, objects he can control, and worst of all, opening up the trapdoor to the abyss. This one will be the only one in my opinion to go into A tier. Finally, Hyper Electro. You have to switch these power couplings on and then trick Hyper Electro to zap them to nullify his powers, leaving him open for you to whack him. He can show up randomly, leave electric mines everywhere, which definitely aren't annoying, and has a damaging area of effect attack. It's a simple fight and is a decent final boss. I really don't have that much to say about it. B tier. So overall, we have a fair selection of boss fights. Some were pretty good and others were a tad disappointing. However, I can't help but feel like we maybe should have got one more. Was there someone that we missed? Oh, I can't remember. Oh, yeah, the Beetle. Despite him showing up in multiple cutscenes and assisting in Electro's plan, you only get to fully interact with the Beetle once. In fact, he sort of disappears from the game entirely after this. Almost like the developers forgot he was even in this to begin with. And I always found that to be quite odd. He doesn't get a boss fight, his own spot in the character viewer, or even get arrested by the end of the game. I tried to look for a reason as to why this was the case, and whilst I couldn't get a definitive answer, the closest I could get was an interview with game designer Karthik Bala on the YouTube channel Anganoff. In the video, Bala stated that Beetle was going to have a boss fight, but it got cut. However, it was supposed to be in a level that is actually in the final game. Can you guess what that level is? That's right, it's the fucking plane level. So wait, hold on. Let me get this straight. You're telling me that I could have had a boss fight with an insect-looking Iron Man, but instead you gave me the equivalent of being beaten with a sledgehammer for half an hour. I hope someone gets arrested for this. You know, I think up until now, we've had a very mixed bag of opinions. So why don't we go over something that I think the game does really well? Let's talk about the music. I really like Enter Electro's music. That's it, it's good. Composed this time by Todd Maston, it substitutes the metal from Spider-Man PS1 soundtrack for dark electronic beats. Wonder why you went in that direction. The first game easily had the more memorable tracks, but Enter Electro also has a good selection. And much like my last video, I'm going to go over some of my favourites from the soundtrack. Take a listen to these. Alright, before we wrap this up, there's one final aspect of the game that we need to go over. Let's talk about the extra goodies.
pretty much all extra content from the first game returns. Unlockable costumes, challenge modes, collectible comics, and the infamous What If mode all make a return. Some of these have been improved, whilst others are quite disappointing. Let's start with quite possibly the best extra content in the game: unlockable suits. Not only do all of the suits from the first game return, but Vicarious Visions added a further 8 new suits. These include Spider-Man's alter identities Prodigy and Dusk, to the incredibly powerful Spider-Phoenix, to the Alex Ross costume that was made and even tested for the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. Like the first game, each suit comes with its own powers and abilities, which can either benefit you or give you significant drawbacks. You've got incredibly helpful powers like invulnerability and unlimited webbing that make the hardest levels an absolute walk in the park. Or if you want a challenge, you can limit yourself to only being able to have 2 web cartridges, if you want to torture yourself even more with that fucking plane level. However, the best new feature the devs added is Create a Spider. This mode allows you to pick any unlocked suit and customize it with up to 3 powers. You could make some absolutely crazy combinations with this. Want to play as a Spider-Man who doesn't care about his secret identity and is an absolute tank? You can do that. Or how about playing as a Spider-Man whose symbiote is currently having some performance issues and can't produce enough webbing? The training and challenge modes have also seen a few changes. There's 3 options. Training Session is the first one, and sees you being taught the ropes by Professor X and Rogue, and is the only time that you see them. Oh sure, so these two get their own character bio, but Beetle doesn't? Make it make sense. The second is Challenge Session. The second is Challenge Session. The second is Challenge Session. It sounds... The second is Challenge Session. It sounds so horrible. Challenge Session. Challenge Session. Challenge Session. The second is Challenge Session. You basically do the exact same training, but this time you're under a timer that goes onto a leaderboard. Then finally, there's Instant Action, where you can fight as many thugs as possible, and that's about it. So yeah, a bit of a downgrade from the last game if you ask me. No item collection, target practice, or any form of replayability besides from beating your high score. I'm not going to sit here and act like the previous game's training mode was amazing, but at least it was varied and had cool stuff to find. Finally, the other piece of extra content I want to talk about is the What If mode, or as it should be called in this game, Bananas! Enter Electro's What If mode is a significant downgrade from the previous games. Yeah, there's some funny moments and silly things thrown in, but it didn't feel like it warranted a second playthrough. Neversoft literally threw so many ideas and stupid things at the wall that they all became memorable. Miniok, Kid Carnage, the blimp with Silver Surfer, the guy in the submarine you have to race. It was like someone had smoked a bunch of the good kush and just wrote down all of the batshit insane thoughts in their head. Vicarious Visions looked at the What If mode and just went, you know what we can do here? Bananas! Okay, I think we're done here. It's time to wrap everything up. So, we're at the end, and I just want to say, if you're still around, thanks for sticking by. We've covered everything that Enter Electro has to offer. The story, music, level design, gameplay, extra content, boss fights, and the fucking plane level. Each one of these aspects of the game have their own pros and cons, and on some occasions even do things better than the goated first game. But some drag the experience down to the point where it transforms it into a middling experience. So there's only one thing left to ask. Which of these aspects make Enter Electro an inferior game compared to the first? Well, to be honest with you, and this is going to disappoint some of you, it's actually all of them. Everything in this game is a disappointing downgrade from the first. The story does not have an exciting plot, no cameos from any Marvel characters besides from Beast, and it goes from one scene to the other due to convenience rather than flowing naturally. The gameplay has not changed or evolved besides from a few fancy new animations and different enemy types. The level design goes from really fun and memorable to infuriating and confusing in a matter of seconds. The boss fights are mostly mid with a few shining out from the crowd, which in this case doesn't take much. Extra content such as what if mode or the challenges have been significantly downgraded to the point where they feel like an afterthought. And the music is still pretty good. Yeah, okay, you run along, you shouldn't be here, sweetheart. All of these aspects come together to make what is a very mid experience. I don't know about you all, but when I started this game, I expected the quality to at least match what came before. But alas, 'twas not to be. It also doesn't help that the game only had a year of development compared to the first game getting triple that amount. And if you know anything about game development, the less time you have a game in the oven, the more undercooked the final product will be. However, do I think Enter Electro is a bad game?
No.
If you look at this as a standalone experience, it's a solid game, and provides players with a lot of features, unlockables, and challenging gameplay. The only problem is that the title has a 2 in it. As a sequel, it doesn't do anything that we haven't seen already, and plays everything safe to cash in on Neversoft's success. And that's why ultimately, I believe that's what makes Enter Electro a disappointing mid-sequel. Nah, I'm lying. The playing level is the main reason why this game is mid.
Just another day in the life of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud, he's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there goes the Spider-Man. In the chill of the night, at the scene of crime, like a streak of light, he arrives just in time.
I'm already at full health.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, wealth and fame, he's ignored action, it's his reward, look out. There goes the Spider-Man.